So today we're going to talk about Laylat al-Nufsu min Shaban. The night of min Shaban is one of the greatest nights of the year. So it falls on the night before the 15th day of the Shaban. It is narrated by Atta bin Yasar, said that after Laylat al-Qadr, there is no night better than the night of Nifsu min Shaban. He said it's the greatest due to the divine gifts that are bestowed during it. So we'll talk a little bit about some of the divine gifts Allah subhanahu has in store. Because see, as Muslim, Allah subhanahu have jewels that He has for us so that we can be the best that He has called for us to be. So we'll talk a little about some of those. One night, Sayyidina Aisha noticed that the Prophet ﷺ had left her house. She went out to see where he was and found him in the Al-Baqi. The Al-Baqi is a graveyard. He was there raising his arms to the heavens in supplication. And he said to her on that night, the night of Laylat al-Nifs min Shaban, Allah forgives more people than the hairs of the sheep of the tribe of Kalb. Kalb is a tribe, an Arabian tribe that was known to have many sheep. It is also said that Allah gazes on His creation on that night of the Min Shaban and then forgives all the slaves except for two types of people. Those who attribute partners to Allah and those who have rancor in their heart towards their fellow Muslims. The Prophet said that when this night comes, we should spend it in prayer and fast the following day, because Allah calls out from sunset until the dawn, saying, is there anyone seeking forgiveness from me so that I may forgive him or her? Is there anyone seeking provision from me so I can provide for him or for her? Is there anyone suffering so I can relieve them of their suffering? SubhanAllah. Imam Ali went out on the night of mid-Shaban and gazed at the heavens. He said that the Prophet Dawood alayhi salam went out at a similar time on this same night and said that if anyone calls upon Allah at this time, Allah answers him, and if anyone seeks His forgiveness, He forgives him. For this reason, we should spend the night in worship. It has been narrated by the Messenger of Allah sallallahu, who said, there are 5 nights on which dua is not rejected. The first is in the first night of the Rajab. The second one is in the night of Laylat Nifsu min Shaban. And on Thursday nights, and then the night before the Eid al-Fitr, and the night before Eid al-Adha. So please try to remember these, inshallah. Ikrama and other commentators of the Quran were of the opinion that this is a blessed night. And they said that this is referred to the night that Allah speaks about in Surah Al-Dukhan. Allah says of it, in it is every decree. According to this opinion, it is the night in which everything that Allah has decreed for His slaves for the ensuing year becomes manifest. The provisions that are allotted and those who are destined to die are named. We know that on this night there's a tree in the paradise that has all the names of all the souls that will be born and strive in the earth. Last man calls to the angels and tells them to shake this tree. And when He shakes this tree, the leaves fall from the tree. And on these leaves is the name of all the souls, all the people. And it says, but the Prophet ﷺ, that the leaves that fall down, that these people will not live to see the next Ramadan. So we need to be very careful, my brothers and sisters. Pay attention to this deen Allah has set on us. We need this information that we're getting that Allah has for us is to help us gain more reverence to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to stay close to the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We're the only ummah that have this kind of advice. The rest of the ummahs, they have everything, but they don't have no evidence so that they can learn to make the practice Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has called for us to practice. We know that as Muslims that this practice is the practice Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to accept. We know that in it there's things that we have to do in order for us to qualify for the acceptance to Allah. So maybe strive hard upon this, inshallah. So Allah speaks about this night in the Holy Quran, and according to this opinion, it is the night in which everything that Allah subhanahu has decreed for His slaves for the ensuing year to become manifest. And in their provision is allotted, and those who are destined to die are named. Atta bin Yasser said that on that night the angel of death receives a scroll on which are the names of all those who are destined to die in the coming year. So when we see all the people that we see and we hear, all the Muslims that we go to the Muslim janazas, we know that on this night, these Muslims, their name was on the scroll that was given to Malakul Maut. So that gives us great distinction. It causes us to be in great remembrance. As the Prophet says, he says that we're supposed to remember death every day. So we don't know when it's going to come, and we don't know if we are on that scroll. Atta bin Yasar said that this night the angel of death received the scroll on which there are names of all those who are destined to die in the coming year. And he said, a man may plant crops, get married, and build a house while his name is already been recorded against the dead. The angel of death is only waiting for the order to take his soul. Thus, many of the pious would ask Allah on this night to be recorded amongst those who are felicitous, meaning those who are thankful and for Allah's provision. Sayyidina Umar bin Abd al-Aziz said, do not neglect 4 nights in the year, because of those nights Allah pours out his mercy upon his slaves. The first is the first night of Rajab, and the second is the Laylatul Nifsu min Shaban, and the night of Eid al-Fitr and the night of Eid al-Adha. It was thus that the habit of some of the early Muslims to bring life to the 15th night of Shaban, meaning that they would make the sunnah, follow the ibadah that Prophet prescribed for them, where he said for them to make du'as and to pray more, read more Quran during the night, and then to fast. He says that on this day that the Muslims should make special prayers and to encourage others to come to the masjid also for that night to pray and supplicate and seek forgiveness. A number of the hadith that are also talked about immense gifts which Allah bestows on this night mention several categories of people that are also will be excluded from receiving these gifts. Among those mentioned are those who attribute partners to Allah, those who are polytheists. Also those who have the rancor in their heart for their fellow Muslims. Those who say that they dislike or they hate the Muslims. Those Muslims who doesn't want to forgive other Muslims. Those Muslims who hold enmity towards one another. May Allah forgive us. May Allah cause us not to be this way. May we make an effort, great effort to remind ourselves of this and to remove this from our heart by repenting from this and asking Allah forgiveness. Inshallah. Also, some of the scholars are mentioned, specifically those who insult the companions of the early generations of the Muslims or declare their fellow Muslims as being disbelievers and innovators. Those categories mentioned are those also who fornicate and those who cut the kinship and disrespect their parents. So we know that it's a grave sin for the Muslims to cut the kinship, the ties. We also know that it's a grave sin for the Muslims to disrespect the parents. So much so that we are told that if anything that they say to us that goes against Allah and against the Rasulullah, we should find a way to say politely, to say no to them, inshallah. So these are the categories of the people who deny the forgiveness and the ones and the acceptance of the great nights, such as the first night of the Ramadan and the Laylatul Qadr. We should do our utmost to avoid these attributes. One of the early scholars said that the best attribute are to have is a sound heart, a generous soul, and sincerely want very good for this ummah, and have great ties with our family. So the great ones, they have reached this station not through the great amount of prayer and fasting, but by following the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and holding tight to the Quran. So this is what we as Muslims, we're supposed to do every day. Hold tight to the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and stick closely to the whole Quran. May Allah not deprive us of any of the gifts that are bestowed on this great night. May He give us the ability to seek His pleasure by praying to Him and seeking His forgiveness in this night. We ask that He decrees for us all that is good and deflects from us all that is harmful. May He bestow never-ending peace and blessings upon our guide and our master, the Prophet Muhammad SAW, through whom we came to know the superiority of the one time over another, and in whose guidance is all the good in this life and in the next life.